Well, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are. Thank you for joining us to our training session. It's kind of last session today. I hope you are still alive and ready to enjoy this wonderful presentation we are offering you right now. It's a session about the university governance and student services. I think one of the most important features which are supported by capacity building projects, and I think it's a really important aspect, and I hope that you will be able to discuss these presentations and also share your experience and steal some ideas. We have exciting geography today because we have projects from Asia, from Africa, and from Latin America. So this is kind of illustrating how huge and global Erasmus Plus is. Right at the moment, we have 16 attendees. I hope the number will be also growing. Just to remind you that for each presentation, we have 15 minutes. And by the end of the session, we will have also question and answer session. Please put your questions under question and answer tab. You can see it on the right side. And we will be happy to answer all your questions. Please be reminded that after the end of the session, you also have possibility to network as a lounge. In lounge, we have a special table, a special space marked university governance and services, when you can also interact with our presenters. And it's my pleasure to start this session with the first presenter from Bhutan, Dr. Sangai Dorji, who will be presenting the project about student services. Sangai, the floor is yours, please. Sangai, you can share your presentation right now. Sangai. Okay, I think the presentation will come.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Yeah, actually I lost. So you can hear me, you mean to say?
Yeah. We can hear you and we are waiting for your presentation. Are you uploading it right now?
Looks like my network is playing up. I'll try to.
You can switch to the low definition. Yes.
Presentation through.
Sangai, switch to the low definition.
I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I switched to low bandwidth. Still, I think the network is playing up.
Well, maybe you start presenting without the slides.
Sure. So I also had to turn off my video.
Okay, now it's okay. Now we can see everything. So please.
Sure. Thank you so much, Lekha, and also sorry for the technical glitches. So I'm Sangai Dorji, and I work as a lecturer at the Royal University of Bhutan, Bhutan in South Asia. And I would like to talk about the project Enhancing Mental Health, Counseling and Wellbeing Support for University in Bhutan. And this is the gist of the project, the overview, the consortium or the partnership. It consists of 4 institutes, Royal University of Bhutan being the coordinator, supported by University of Birmingham, UK, and University of Mai, Portugal, and University of VUV, Brussels. And this partnership is quite unique in the sense this is the very first project coordinated and developed by the Royal University of Bhutan. And as a partner country university, this is a huge milestone for us. And then you can see the project logo. If you have a close view, you can read the tag saying Happiness and Wellbeing Center, and you will know why this tag is with the logo in a while. And the project is co-sponsored by the Erasmus Plus program under the scheme Capacity Building in the field of higher education, and it's a national project. The fund approved is around €500,000, and it was for the duration of 3 years. So this is the gist of the project, and the overall objectives of the project. Before I read out the specific objectives, if I talk a bit about the rationale on why these objectives are laid down, the Royal University of Bhutan was always aspiring to come up with a better student support system, but it was constant by two main elements: human resource competency and the resources in terms of funding. So this project was basically built around addressing this challenge. And in particular, the objectives are establishing a counseling and well-being support, well-being and mental health support center at the 9 colleges of Royal University of Bhutan. By the way, Royal University of Bhutan has 9 campuses located at different provinces in Bhutan. And also this project is about building capacity of human resource of Royal University of Bhutan in the area of counseling, mental health, and well-being. And this project has also committed itself for coming up with a digital platform to support mental health, well-being, and counseling services. And also, this project was aiming to come up with a resource pack and operation framework of these centers, happiness and well-being centers. Finally, the project was for supporting these centers gather essential
I think we lost. I think we lost our colleague from Bhutan. Sorry, guys. I mean, it seems to be some real problem with internet. I hope our colleagues from Africa are ready to jump in. Yes, thank you for being so flexible. And if Sangai comes back, we will give him a chance to continue. I don't want to lose time. Thank you so much for being so flexible. We will be ready now to go with project from Africa. It's a storm. It's about research management, and Sangai will be able to continue with his presentation a bit later. Dr. Terinteron, the floor is yours, and please introduce your co-speakers also. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I hope everybody can hear me. Do you want to continue, or do you want to give Sanjay the chance? I see he's back, Lika.
Sorry, I think you'd better do now your presentation, and we see how the connection will be on the other side. So,
okay. So
now
we'll
it's
go
African time.
Okay, it's time. Warm greetings from sunny South Africa. To all the attendees, I'm Tarina Taron, and my co-presenters are Anna Matros Goreses from Namibia and Godson Gacha from Botswana. We're an African trio today. This is also because this project was actually led from South Africa. The STORM project was created to develop new capacity in research management and administration, or RMA, in higher education institutions on the African continent and beyond. Why is it so important to have skilled research managers and research management structures in our universities? To illustrate this, we use an analogy of a sports team. Can you imagine sending your national football team to the Football World Cup to compete without sending them also with skilled managerial and support staff, coaches, and medical personnel? Unimaginable, right? Yet in Africa, we still expect our talented researchers to compete internationally for research funding and resources and do impactful research that's recognized globally without providing them with the skilled RMA capacity and structures that will enable them to focus on what they do best, namely their own research. Research management structures are, of course, well established at universities in the developed world, but are still severely lacking in many African universities. So through the STORM project, we say, Kanako, it's time for Africa to change this situation by developing skilled individuals and institutional structures for research management and administration in our universities. The outputs of this project enable us to put the people, policies, processes, and systems in place to enable our talented researchers to play their international game successfully. On the next slide, you see the 4 objectives of the project. So the project really rests on these 4 major objectives. The first one was to establish a postgraduate diploma in research management and administration, the first, as far as we know, for the continent. The second objective was to draft a curriculum for an executive master's in RMA that will be rolled out in the future. The third objective was to establish a mechanism for the professional recognition of research managers and administrators. And the fourth objective was to use this opportunity to benchmark, develop capacity, exchange good practice guidelines, and advance collaboration between the EU and African institutions that partnered in the project. So our project partners is the ones you see in front of you. We had 6 universities from the region, 2 in South Africa, 2 in Namibia, and 2 in Botswana. And we also had as a partner the Southern African Research and Innovation Management Association, which gave us access to a much broader range of members of these different countries that work in the field of research and innovation management. Our European partners were the University of Bristol, the University of Copenhagen, and Kaunas University of Technology, which is based in Lithuania. And that also gave us a very varied group of European partners, where some of them are very well established, but in the Baltic countries, they also really just beginning to establish strong research management capacity. We had as an associate partner the European Association for Research Management and Administration that also played a very important role. I'll focus briefly on 2 of the main objectives, and then I will hand over to Anna and to Godson, who will highlight to you their journeys in the institutions of individual and institutional research management capacity development that was enabled through the STORM project. So the first major objective was to establish and roll out a postgraduate diploma in research management and administration. And I'm happy to say that in 2021, we had our first cohort of students of about 30 people that enrolled for this course. And we are now running this as a sustainable offering that will continue to equip early career research managers and administrators or entry-level research management and administrators to have a thorough understanding of various aspects related to their role in supporting research. Another sustainable outcome of the project with significant impact on the career development of individual research managers is the professional recognition of research managers mechanism that was put in place through the project. This is a rather unique mechanism to provide a clear professional career trajectory to research managers, coupled with a competency framework highlighting the skills development needed to progress in the profession. I will now hand over to my colleague Anna to first share with you the journey of the Namibian University of Science and Technology in the STORM project. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tarina, and good afternoon to everybody. What you see on the slide in front of you is really the STORM project taking the world on. And it's basically research capacity architecture that was developed through strategic internships. And you would note that one of the outputs was a guideline for internships and processes, and to ensure that it is actually sustainable and it is actually effective rather than just a nice holiday to another country. So the idea or the intention was really to improve a mutual understanding of the different research contexts and cultures in the EU and the SADC regions. And this was primarily done on 3 levels. institutional, individual, and systemic. And apart from the three levels, we really looked at integrating it with the professionalization framework that is developed by the SARIMA association. And that is done at, again, strategic management and operational level. And through these internships, we really looked at development of systems and tools and policies. And by looking at that, looking at the different maturity levels of the universities and the partners that we had in place. So next slide, Tarina. So effectively, I can share with you with so much pleasure today that the Namibia University of Science and Technology really leveraged from the internship program, but overall from the entire consortium. And from that, we have gained institutional development to the extent where a research development directorate was established out of the influence of this project. That for us was huge. If you look at the dark blue squares, it really tells you where we have drawn from the strengths of the consortium partners to establish the research directorate at the university. Out of only, by the time when we started with the project, we only had research financing operational or active. And now we are happy to say that many of the other elements are also being active. And really, this was done through adopting the best practices approach to see how best we can then leverage. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, from this project, you can see the diagram is in a circle, and it's really looking at coming full circle, ultimately looking at getting the benefits of a long-term capacity developed through professionalization, not just at the national level, but also making a global recognition and influence within the research landscape. And I think we have been able to safely say that we have gained long-term partners of really skilled group of research managers that contribute towards the development of various institutions like what we have benefited from the project. Over to you, Godson.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you, Terena. And thank you, Lika, for hosting us. My focus is going to be on two key outcomes as they relate to the Botswana Open University. Botswana Open University is basically a brand new university that transformed from a college to a fully fledged university. And it gained quite a lot from the internship programs and research management events that took place during the course of the project. The key outcomes that I'll focus on are leveraging unique research context as part of drawing from the research-intensive university experiences. And the second outcome that I'm going to focus on is improved university research management governance structures, because our university was basically new. As a result of the capacity building project sponsored by EU Erasmus, the Botswana Open University, as a new university, drew inspiration from the well-established research-intensive universities that were part of the consortium. We were able to learn from each university's unique research context to reshape our research agenda. We therefore had to take our unique context to inform what we do in promoting a culture of research development in a new university. Our research context in Botswana is influenced by global trends, but locally, it includes national policy frameworks on research, research acts, the country's vision 2036, our history and our diverse culture as exhibited in the slide. Of interest is the Okavango Delta, the largest inland delta that was declared by UNESCO as a World Heritage. So with this, we are very proud to actually focus on a number of research areas, including sustainable development and indigenous knowledge systems. These are some of the strategic focus areas that our southern part colleagues are actually also focusing on. So we learned quite a lot from them. Slide 2, please. In terms of the slide that you see, it focuses basically on research management governance structures. The outcome basically is that our internship enhanced our research governance structures. When we started, the kind of research governance structures that you see in the slide, the research protocols or policies and guides, they were not there. It was only after we had the opportunity for exchange study visits, both in the North and in the South, that we were able to be inducted on what constitutes a robust research and innovation office. So we collected documents, policies, and from these, we created a hybrid university governance structures unique for the Open University in Botswana. So the research management governance structures that were created as a result of the STORM project have ensured that policies, guidelines, and protocols were subjected through a rigorous internal consultations and reviews by our 4 schools, student support structures, and key stakeholders before they were approved by the University Governance Council for implementation. The result of the consultative and review processes includes university staff and students buy-in, ownership of the research structures, research policies and protocols that ensure good integrity or good practice. So far, the trajectory of our research culture at the Botswana Open University is progressing very well, especially with regard to improved student research, supervision, uptake of internal grant proposal, commissioned research, consultancies, internal research projects undertaken by interdisciplinary teams that include students as part of lessons learned from the consortium. The benefits we derive from the project have shaped the growth of our new Open University research agenda. Our staff and students have been empowered and inspired through the cascading lessons from the project and are now actively engaged in lifelong learning by participating in research communities of practice through attending seminars, conferences, webinars on research management and administration. And the intention now is for us, funds permitting, to sponsor most of our research officers from both the research center and the schools to engage in long-term professional research development at our partner university in South Africa, the Stellenbosch University, to do the outcome of our project in the form of the diploma in research, in postgraduate diploma in research management. Our staff are further excited by the networks and friendship that was created through the STORM consortium and through the communities of practice. Because of STORM, they now have a broader network and friends across Southern Africa and also in Europe. Thank you so much. Maybe, Terina, you can round up.
Thank you. This is our last slide, and I thought I actually changed it at the last minute because I thought I couldn't end this off without showing this fantastic group of people that we worked with. I think a great factor in this project was the partnerships that we had. We had we had times when we worked incredibly hard, but we also always had so much fun. And we always referred back to this quote by Murakami that says, once the storm is over, it will be a different person walking out on the other side. But that was the whole purpose of the storm. And I think from our feedback, you will see that there are many differences that this project has brought about and a positive impact. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this great presentation. It was really very, very interesting. We have, by the way, already 2 questions, but I'm going to ask them after we are done with all 3 presentations. So just have a look, just prepare your answers. And right now we have a chance to go back from Africa to Asia. Sangai, could you please share your presentation? And you can continue with your slides now. Okay, here we are.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. So
I'm sorry for this
so,
technical problem, but please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, it's totally fine, and also accept apology from my end as well. So I think I was somewhere around here, so I was able to talk you all through the project objectives, and then I would like to now talk about the project result. This project is coming to end very soon. In next 2 weeks, the project would be officially technically closed. So we could achieve almost all the commitments that we have promised initially. So major outcome of the project was about establishing a unique model of student support center at all the 9 colleges of Royal University of Bhutan, and we call them happiness and well-being centers. And it was a deliberate choice, meaning when we ran our initial assessment in the beginning, we found that people had some reservation for the traditional concept of counseling and mental health. So we needed something which is progressive, appealing, and positive in nature. So we had to come up with this name. And we have 9 centers in Bhutan, like located at 9 different campuses of Royal University of Bhutan. And we could also train 27 individuals, 3 from each college, for over the period of 18 months. And we divided the training cycle in 5 different levels. And the training was facilitated as a team, like RUB, Royal University of Bhutan, in collaboration with experts from the program the European and resource pack. The center uses this resource pack to run day-to-day activities, services, starting from counseling to career enhancement and mental health activities. So we could develop this resource pack, which emerged as a result of integration between European model of counseling and psychology, blended with Bhutanese concept of gross national happiness and traditional values and concept. So this course pack is also unique. And then we could also also come up with a framework, operation framework, which the centers like use for their day-to-day operation, like as a guideline. And then we could also develop a digital platform, a virtual space dedicated for enhancing the activities and the reach of the centers. And we could also bring in lots of stakeholders within Bhutan, both government and non-government, and talk about the area of collaboration. And we also signed a memorandum of agreement between the centers and the agencies on what we can do, like. And second last, as a result of this project, we could publish 2 research articles, big one, and 2 book chapters, and also a big major beneficiary assessment report. And finally, as a result of this project, we could establish a new branch office at the Royal University of Bhutan to lead, coordinate, and advocate and implement Erasmus Plus program projects. And this is the visual of the centers. By the way, this is the Bhutan map, and you can see 9 centers located at different provinces in Bhutan. And then the project impact at the gist at the local level, this could enhance the student support system of Royal University of Bhutan. This was coming out from the beneficiary assessment study, and we could build the capacity of Royal University of Bhutan in terms of counseling, um, mental health, and psychology. And then also we could integrate the existing student service at Royal University of Bhutan under the uniform window, that is under the happiness and well-being of well-being center. And also we could enhance competency of Royal University of Bhutan in coordinating Erasmus Plus program. That is at the local level. And at the national level, this project was acknowledged by the Honorable Prime Minister during the fourth session of Parliament, and it was coming out very strong. He highlighted the impact and significance of this project and the centers. And also at the national level, we could bring in lots of agencies through a networking process, stakeholder meetings, seminars, workshops, and the collaboration amongst professionals working for young people in Bhutan was strong. And also finally at the national level, this project also serves as a unique model of student service center, gross national happiness in action. So that was the impact at the national level. And at the international level, strong collaboration between Bhutan and European Union through partnership in tertiary education, in particular student support system. And then also collaboration between Royal University of Bhutan and other universities around the globe. We could collaborate in writing a book chapter, research seminar, and also we had some requests coming from North American region exploring the scope to replicate these centers. So this is, I think, one of the highlights of this project's impact at the international level. And the challenges. So this project has had, of course, many challenges, but also lots of learning. So I would like to highlight on these four main challenges. First one was this project is the first ever, as I was mentioning before, Erasmus Plus project coordinated by the Royal University of Bhutan. So the technical competency was questioned. So we didn't know how to go about process and the procedures. So the way out was we established a separate office, recruited a separate officer dedicated for implementation of this project. And also the agency and the project officer was very supportive and helpful in getting us through this project implementation process. And then reading Erasmus Plus program documents, online resources, and also checking with other partners really helped in solving this uh, challenge. And then we had this different colleges located at 9 provinces in Bhutan. So commitment, logistics, and timing was problem. So we signed an agreement with the head of the colleges so that this becomes more smooth. And also we conducted the project activities during summer break, winter break, and through virtual platform. And also there was a cultural difference between European partners and Royal University of Bhutan. And to solve this, we had monthly project steering committee meeting, and communication was key. And then finally we had to sustain the center. So what we did was we started sharing the ownership of the center with the colleges right from day one. So co-owning the centers were very effective. And finally we could also endorse the sustainability of center as a policy document of the Royal University of Bhutan. So the centers are sustainability of center is ensured for all the days to come. So this is a visual of the project impact. So you can see like different centers run today at different campuses. This is a handout for the students, and you can see like different activities on communication, yoga session, self-care, counseling facilitated by these centers. And you can also see European partners conversing with the Prime Minister of Bhutan in one of the pictures here, and stakeholders meeting trainings. And this is the virtual platform I was referring to earlier. Thank you so much. It was quite a rush, and once again really sorry for the technical
Don't
glitches.
don't be,
This
it's not
is
your
the end
fault. It
of
can happen everywhere and
my
every time. Thank you very, very much for this very interesting project. I think I have never ever seen a project involving Prime Minister in person, so this must be a really big achievement. So very interesting. And by the way, right now in Georgia, we are implementing a national project about the psychological counseling services for students. So I think we can find a lot of horizontal links between these projects, and we can discuss it a bit later. Right now, I'm glad to give floor to our third speaker, our last speaker, Jennifer Love, who will present a project involving universities from Argentina and Brazil. And it's about internationalization, it's about recognition, and all nice stuff which is connected to international dimensions universities. Jennifer, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's an honor to talk today. Well, for me, it's good morning, but for you, maybe it's good afternoon or good evening. So greetings from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Just introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Lowe, professor at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, UFRJ, and I'm also at the academic coordination of the international office at my university. So here we have our email of the direction of the international office. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us later. So today I will talk about the HEI project, which is dedicated for the improvement of academic recognition between Europe and Latin American institutions. The project is coordinated by University of Porto, and it started on October 2017 and just ended this year. We have a prolongation because of the pandemic situation. And we have the participation of 12 partners, universities from different countries. We have 4 countries in Europe and 2 countries in Latin America, Argentina and Brazil. And these are the institutions that work together in this project. So higher education institutions have had internationalization as a primary goal for many years. Different approach to reach this internationalization have been adopted and tested, like a top-down approach through policies and regulations, as well bottom-up approach through specific initiatives to seek to convince leaders about the relevance of internationalization for a competitive institution. But in all cases, these approaches end up being little effective as they reveal to be extremely volatile and deeply linked with the at-a-date existing condition. So, the innovative approach or innovative methods of this project was the peer-to-peer approach for internationalization. As you can see here in the slide, there is an involvement of all actors involved in the academic recognition in higher education institutions by connecting academic, technical, administrative, technical, and IT staff. This connection includes training sessions for teachers, professors, and IT staff, as well full involvement of technical staff during academic recognition process. This peer-to-peer approach is an innovative method, more effective by reducing barriers, which allows to create a swift, solid, and lasting change because it involves all actors for this process. So here is the work packages of the project. The first one was setting up the conditions for the implementation of the activities and identification of the problems. For example, approximately 70% of the credits are not revalidated at that time. So that's one of the reasons we started the project. And I would like to highlight the work package 2, which was training of teachers. Work package 5, the pilot mobility cases, and work package 6, which was training of IT staff, organized by the different partners of the project. So after identification of the problems for the full academic recognition, 5 areas of knowledge was chosen: education, engineering, natural sciences, health, and communication, to select students for pilot mobility cases that were carefully followed up during the whole process to achieve full academic recognition. This follow-up was carried out by the formation of working groups, which involved at least 4 different persons: the academic coordination from both institutions of the students, as well international office staff and teachers, and at least one teacher who participates in the training of professors that I will talk later. This working group was essential to reduce any barriers and solve any problems that appear during the preparation of the student mobility until the revalidation of the credits. So the other activity which was very interesting and important activity was face-to-face meeting at Valladolid in Spain on 2019, which was a 1-week training for teachers to discuss about academic recognition, where it was possible to explain and understand the difference among the higher education institutions systems. For example, definition and comparison of ECTS and credits, because in Latin America it's not ECTS. It was important to understand how it works, and it is completely different from Latin America system. Grade system as well, and learning practice. This week was seminal to understand the partner institutions and to acknowledge the specificities and cultural difference of each region and each institution as well. Due to the pandemic situation, the information technology, the IT training week, was carried out as a virtual meeting in this year, at the beginning of the year. And this week was important for partners to understand each IT system and platform, how the university, how the institutions using the information and of the students, how it was a moment for sharing the good practice to easily handle students' information and transparency of the academic recognition process in each institution, and try to find the better solution for each one. As deliverable of the project, it was elaborated a MOOC for academic recognition, which was a massive online course, explained the main difference between Europe and Latin America to smooth any process for academic recognition. There was 2 distinct sessions of this MOOC, achieving hundreds of people all over the world interested in the subject. So it's not only for the partners, but it was for this dissemination of the subject. We had also a digital interactive compendium that was created, which is a repository of regimens and good practice for academic recognition, including a specific document from each country or institution participating, which involved in the project. And also it was created a guideline. At first, it was created to guide all the mobility pilot cases, but however, it was improved during the project, and now it's a deliverable to disseminate the steps for a full academic recognition for anyone who is interested in the subject and who wants to ameliorate your conditions or the procedures, or also the institutions or person who wants to start academic recognition. All these deliverables and all discussions are in the conclusion paper, which was published last month as an ebook. And you can reach all information about HECMAT using this link tree. Here we can find the official website, the Facebook of the project, the deliverables that I have just shown you, and also the video recording of the final conference, which was virtual because of the pandemic situation. But all information about the project you can find here, and it's very useful in just 1 minute. I would like to say that, for example, pilot mobility cases, we really didn't have any big problems. All pilot mobility achieved the full academic recognition for all the students. So it was important to create these working groups and follow up all the mobility students. So it's not impossible to have a full academic recognition, but it's important to have a good structure inside each university, and it's very important to understand how your partner works, how the systems are different, and understand the difference. It doesn't mean that we have to do the same thing. It doesn't mean that we have to follow the same procedure, but it's important to understand the partner system. So it's easier to communicate and to overcome any barriers. And this peer-to-peer approach was important because it involved different classes of people who are necessary for the academic recognition. So not only teachers, coordinators, but also IT staff and technical staff, which are also very important in the international relations office of all universities. So I think that's it. And if you have any questions or any doubts, you can write directly to the coordination of the project. Thank you very much for your participation, and do not hesitate to contact me here in the questions and answer or later by email. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much for a great presentation. You were actually under 15 minutes, so thank you. I really appreciated it. I welcome all the questions. Please feel free to put them under question and answer section. But right now we already have 2 questions here, and both of them are for the STORM team. So I will just show them here, and I invite you, STORM team, to answer this first question. It's about the main challenges, and how you overcome. So we all know that Erasmus projects can't go without challenges. So what about your particular challenges? So please, who is going to answer the question?
Thank you. I will take that one, Lika,
Yes.
if it's fine. From the STORM perspective, when we looked at when we started developing the internship deliverable, let me say, we looked at several things, and it's important that when we learn from each other, we take it into perspective to say, you look at the application. So even if you go and visit a university, there has state-of-the-art, research, landscape, etc. It's important for everyone to always reflect on their individual capacities. That's why we call it the architecture, because you need to, before you go out to learn from another university, you need to establish what is it that you want to learn, and how can you integrate that into the institution once you have learned that, understanding your own national context and the resources as well as the capacity you have. I think that was very important for us, and that's why when we started, we developed a profile for every university so that we could understand each other's differences and maturity levels in terms of the research landscape. So I think that was important. I would say one of the challenges, and maybe my teammates can come in, would be as much as we did internships looking at academic at academic and administrative level. It is important to have senior representation at all these levels so that when you go and you learn, it's easier to integrate it into the institution. And I think that's important. And you need to have that buy-in already at a senior governance level within the institution. Also understanding that they should understand the project and how the benefits of that can come to the institution. So we had a AAA approach at the end, so looking at access, application, and alliances. And I think with that, I can leave it and maybe hand over to one of my colleagues if they want to add on that particular question. Thank you so much, Dr. Tamar,
Thank
for
you,
your
Anna.
question.
If everyone wants to fill in here and to add something, feel free, or we can go to the second question.
Godson?
So, Verena, maybe you want to add something?
I'll tackle the next question. I wonder if Godson maybe wanted to add something to this one.
I'm fine, Terena. I think you can go to the next question. Thank you.
Okay, and here is the next question, please. So it's about rather technical issue about the financial management.
I'm so happy to speak to this question because we've learned such a lot. I cannot even start explaining. It was.
Let's share our pain. Let's share our pain.
Our project, the Storm project was the first one to be led by a South African partner. I believe there's now one or two more Erasmus Plus projects that were led by South African partners, but we were the first. So it was a steep learning curve for us. The first point I want to make is that I think initially, remember our project already started in it was a 2016 project, so we started in 2017. So especially at that time, the projects didn't seem to be really set up for the position that a partner country would be the leading entity. It was strange, some of the things we encountered, that, for example, they didn't want to allow two people to attend from two South Africans to attend the coordination meeting. But the rule is actually that there should be a partner country involved, but we were already a partner country, although we were leading the so it was things that we could sort out. And the one thing I would say to overcome any of those issues is we had a fantastic program officer in Brussels, Pivy, and we contacted her with any problem. The biggest financial challenge, financial management challenge, was that of exchange rates. Luckily, we managed through our university, through Stellenbosch University, we managed to retain a euro account. And I think if we didn't manage to retain a euro account, we would have really struggled because the South African rand fluctuates considerably. And if we had to receive South African rands directly and had to pay out euros, we would have had a much bigger challenge. Of course, we still had somewhat of a challenge in that we had to pay rands to our South African partners and to Namibia. So we still had to face some exchange rate challenges, but generally that was manageable. It was possible to manage that risk. Then I think financial reporting from partners is always a difficult issue. We had a very strict but very humane project manager, very experienced. She actually had a degree in psychology as well as the financial management experience and qualifications. So I would propose that to anybody appointing a dedicated project manager or financial manager. I can't imagine that we would have made it through without having a dedicated person. But she was very strict and she asked for very frequent 3-monthly financial reports from all of the partners. And she used that as part of the capacity development as well, to go back to those partners and say, this is not right, you should do it this way, etc. Another way that we overcame some of our challenges in terms of the financial management was there's always delays, and there are sometimes delays, especially when it comes to accreditation of courses, academic courses that you have no control over. So we used the opportunity to ask for a no-cost extension for the Storm project, and the project eventually ran over 4 years. My biggest advice would be really those three things. Consider exchange rates, appoint a dedicated financial manager and have frequent reporting. And thirdly, read and follow the EACA rules to the letter. Do not think that they are just there as a vague kind of guideline. despite us trying to do that, we still made a few mistakes, and we still had to correct a few mistakes when it came to things that we funded that we were not supposed to. So we thought we knew the rules, and then we had to go and read them again and again. So it's really something that everybody needs to do.
Highly appreciated your answer. Actually, I know the person who was asking this question. She was also a project coordinator, and I feel her pain too. So I'm sorry, these are kind of EU rules, and this is also additional added value, actually, that we are learning not only our stuff, but we're also learning management and all the financial issues and reporting and all this boring stuff. But it's also capacity building in line. Thank you very much. Any further questions, guys? Please feel free. And if not, I have a question for our colleague Sangai. Georgia, Sangai, are you here? Can you hear me? Because I have a question about establishing a new structural unit as a university. You are establishing 9 institutions in all countries and new counseling services. So how it's going on when you're introducing a new structural administrative unit in the university? So do you need to go through the long procedure of agreements with university administration? I mean, how it's done legally? Because sometimes I know within our countries we are facing problems when we want to have this type of unit, and we have additional problem of sustainability. So who is paying for it? So can you share a bit about that, please?
Yeah, thank you, Lika. So I think the answer is quite obvious in the sense I could also see it from Jennifer's slide. So it had to be top to bottom, like, to be honest. When you are bringing a big change, so you really need to hit the top. I mean, to seek their consent endorsement at the highest level of decision-making body. So we had to lobby with the committee, and then, as I was pointing out in my presentation, so we could then get to the president or the head of the colleges to sign an agreement right at the beginning of the project, and we called it like beneficiary, not agreement, but it's more of like a mutual bond, saying like they're ready to venture into this and they're willing to support in all the possible ways. So it had to be from top to bottom approach, and I think it worked because then things move quite easy, like when we have the consent from the top. And about the sustainability, I think this was also taken into account right from day one. And as I was pointing out, we could insert, we could um, put the center's future or sustainability as a part of policy document, meaning they have to now, the colleges have to maintain the center by any means because it's endorsed as a policy document under the book related with student services at the Royal University of Bhutan. So there is a chapter, like a section dedicated for this center, and it also talks about who is going to fund like annual conferences for the center managers and who is going to monitor their progress. So details are included there. So, and also the networking with stakeholders like Ministry of Health, Ministry of Labor, and also other agencies really, I think, had some payoff returns in terms of sustaining the centers. So two things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I also want to ask a question to Jennifer, if you don't mind. It's about do you get any kind of feedback from your students? I mean, once this system was already running, so are you gathering feedback from students? Are you getting some information from them for further improvements, or is it not that long time that it is introduced, so you didn't manage to do so? So how you interact with students, because they have to be the main beneficiaries of the system, actually.
Yeah, that's true. For example, for my university, we have 3 cases, pilot mobility cases, and all of them, it worked very well. Actually, because for example, in my university, we are very big university, so the faculties has their own system. So, for example, engineering works very well. There's no big problem for academic recognition. So there was a student, it was okay, no problem, not big problem at all. The other two students, it was not difficult, but the faculties of biology and communication, it was not exactly like engineering, so we have to follow up more closely, but it worked very well. All the students were very happy because, I don't know, 2-3 months after they come back to Brazil, they have the full academic recognition. All this credit was in the transcript of record, so everything is okay. And it was important to understand the timing for students. For example, they reported that sometimes it's difficult to find a place to stay because when the places are available or the answer for the mobility arrives is just a little late to find a good place to live. So it's important to understand the specificities of each city, for example, each country, and it was a very good feedback for our students in Brazil in general, because in Brazil we have 3 different universities, and all of them we have a very good feedback from the students. So it's quite important to have specific people follow up during the whole procedure, because in general what happens is students they decided to travel abroad, and after they come back they want to revalidate all the credits, but the university doesn't know exactly what would happen, so the coordinator is not aware of the disciplines and the course that the students choose. So now with the follow-up, so for example, in my university, have changed the procedure. Now it's more easier to follow all these cases of mobility, student mobility. So I think it's something that will stay for a long time in our university. We have to change some resolutions, some regiments inside our university to achieve a full academic recognition. So it was a great valuable thing that we learned with the project.
Great, and it's great. It's very symbolic that Erasmus Plus has funded this project because it's all about exchanges, all about travel, and all about new experiences. Great. I'm afraid I have to stop here because we have run out of the time. I think it was really, really interesting. We know that we cannot cover in one session all possible university services which could be supported by Erasmus Plus projects, but it was a great experience for me personally to see 3 different topics, credit recognition, research management, student counseling, and psychological support. I think it's excellent example how Erasmus Plus can support universities at institutional development level. And I'm really impressed by your projects and by your results and by your excellent presentations. I think our auditorium is also very happy. So yes, we see now all the hearts and all the perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for your commitment, for being here. Thank you for your questions and answers. And I'm a bit sad, but I have to close this session because we are really at the end. And please be reminded that you can continue your discussions in lounge. So the lounge will still be open for 1 additional hour. So if you have any specific questions and if you want to chat in person, the lounge is at your services. Thank you very much and have a nice evening and have a nice day whenever you are. Ciao. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Wonderful.
Bye. Bye-bye.